podcast on Islam by Kaelyn Smith, 5th period. Islam is a monotheistic religion that began in the 7th century by Muhammad. Muhammad was the prophet of this religion and was born in 570 AD at Mecca in Saudi Arabia. He is often considered the founder of Islam. Muhammad was once a merchant and encountered many people along the way that believed in monotheism. This is something that may have influenced his acceptance of monotheism. The Quran is the sacred text of Islam, which is believed to be the word of Allah. Muslims live by this holy book and also strive to keep the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars of Islam are simply 5 statements of the Islamic faith. Number 1 is the most important and states that you must acknowledge that there is only one God and his prophet is Muhammad. Number 2 states that you must pray to Allah facing Mecca. Number 3 states you must take an annual pilgrimage to Mecca, and this is known as the Hajj. Number 4 says you must fast during the month of Ramadan, and number 5 says you must give to the poor. The 5 pillars overall formed an effective foundation that binded all the Ummah across all regions into a community's faith. The followers of Islam were living peacefully and happily, but after Muhammad's death, everything changed. The choice of a new successor was very difficult and controversial, and people started to have doubt in their own faith. A word to describe what these people were going through is jihad. This is an Islamic term that means a spiritual struggle within yourself against evil and or unbelief. Towns and clans broke away, but luckily the Islamic religion reconstructed itself and quickly expanded across the Mediterranean. Abu Bakr then became the first caliph, also known as a deputy. He was the head of the state, a religious leader, a chief juror, and also commander of the military. Under his rule, communities were reconquered and expansion continued. Islam was spread the fastest through military means. Muslim armies were often very small, but this did not hinder them. They still managed to defeat larger armies successfully. Sufi missionaries were also among the most effective at spreading this religion. Not only did they migrate and teach people about Islam, but performed ecstatic worship in the forms of passionate sermons, dancing, and singing. They were also very tolerant. Together, all 4 of the caliphs were the most powerful clans, although this led to disputes, and this is what caused a split between the Sunni and Shia Muslims. Sunni Muslims make up majority of the population, with approximately 75 to 90%, while Shia only make up 10 to 20%. 13% of Muslims today live in Indonesia, 25% live in South Asia, 20% live in the Middle East, and 15% live in sub-Saharan Africa. The current number of adherents of the Sunni Muslims are 940 million, and the current number of adherents of the Shia Muslims are 120 million. Islam is actually the second largest religion and one of the fastest growing religions in the world. The Umayyad Caliphate was very similar to the Persian and Roman governments in that it was very tolerant and allowed the retention of people's faith. However, they were different than other empires because they required a tax called jizya in order to continue their religious practices. Over time, the Abbasids took control of this caliphate with help from the Persians. The Abbasids originated from Baghdad. They established a bureaucracy for coinage, taxation, postal services, and finances. When the 9th century came around, the Abbasid dynasty was a center for commerce, banking, and industry. They also maintained a superb road system. Under Abbasid rule, the House of Wisdom was established. This was a learning system and kind of a library that was very crucial to this time period. The House of Wisdom was founded by Caliph Harun al-Rashid and reached its peak under his son's rule, al-Ma'mun. The city of Baghdad was finally destroyed by the Mongols in 1258 CE, officially ending the rule of the Abbasids. Arab women had many rights, which included inheriting property, divorcing husbands, and engaging in business. Women were seen equal to men in the eyes of Allah, but the Quran reinforced male dominance, putting male family members in charge of women's social and sexual lives. Consequently, this religion took on patriarchal aspects of these societies. The afterlife of the Islamic religion teaches the continued existence of the soul and a transformed physical existence after death. Muslims believe there will be a day of judgment when all humans will be divided between the destinations of paradise and hell. A main belief of the Quran is the last day, on which the world will be destroyed and Allah will raise all people from the dead to be judged. The last day is also called the day of standing up, day of separation, or day of judgment. What determines a person's destination depends on the balance of good and bad deeds they once committed during their lives. They are either granted admission to paradise, where they will enjoy spiritual and physical pleasures forever, or condemned to hell to suffer spiritual and physical torment for eternity.